I think he, man. Got a little bit of a new strategy for today's show, something that I don't think we've done in the young history of this show. We had a few things we were going to talk about today. I thought we'd kind of stitch together some March Madness fun, some NFL draft stuff that's obviously pretty evergreen. We've had shows where we've kind of had a plan, myself, Joshua Brisco, and Tucker D. Franklin. And we thought, okay, this is the plan, and then, whoa, something happens. I think the Justin Fields trade was sort of like that. You know, we have to pivot as news comes and goes. That's normal. What happened today, though, was that I thought we had today's show set, and then I watched a clip from the Rich Eisen show that made me so frustrated that I texted Tucker like 45 minutes ago and was like, hey, can we just change everything for today? Because I know what I want to talk about. Welcome into Everything Else with Joshua Brisco. That's me again, Tucker D. Franklin, producing the effort live here on the KCSN YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts. Just search for Everything Else with Joshua Brisco, probably. I don't know. You're smart. You'll figure it out. And I want to talk about the NFL in some more general terms today because I love this league. The NFL is by a million miles at this point my favorite sports league. I am watching March Madness. I love a quad box. Although what they've been doing with the Fast Break channel, I think maybe also last year, but definitely this year, step backwards. We might get to that. If you know some hot sports media takes, I'll have those for you too. But I love to have March Madness back in the picture. My beloved Phoenix Suns are in the playoff race right now. They're on the right side in the Western Conference for playoff seeding, and it's still not appointment viewing for me. I enjoy college football. Football is my favorite sport, but the NFL still has my attention, both like personally and professionally, right? I've talked about and covered a bunch of sports over many years. Now ultimately kind of boiled it down to the Chiefs and the NFL are the thing that live at the front of my brain. Again, both in terms of all of the shows and podcasts and everything, and then also just how much I enjoy it. The NFL is in a distant first place. And they just seem really insistent on threatening some of the things that make this league so special. None of this is officially happening yet. One of them is going to happen. But a couple of the things that have been, quote-unquote, floated out there really frustrate me, not just because I think it's a bad idea, although I do think there are bad ideas being quote-unquote floated, but because I think the logic behind them just fails to capture what's important about the NFL's standing in America and around the world, and in terms of what captures the fan base the way that it does. So the clip in mind is on the Rich Eisen show. I have no beef with Rich Eisen. In fact, I consider myself a fan. It was that he was talking to Mike Florio. And if you're new here, or actually if you're not new, if you've ever heard me talk, I don't want to say that Mike Florio bats zero. But a lot of the things that he does and the way that he does them have led me to not pick up arms in his defense very often over the years, to say it kindly. Sometimes he has real info. His site is very successful. Sometimes he'll have a good take that'll stagger me back and make me reconsider that maybe I had the wrong take, if we agree. And then sometimes I go, oh, okay. This is where we miss each other and how we think and talk about things. This isn't just me beating up on a bad Florio take. I really want to get to, I think he's representing the league fairly here, actually. But I want to get to what, on a granular level, just misses the point. So, if you're new here, new in the NFL, 18th game is almost certainly coming. There's going to be a new CBA. The NFLPA is an absolute mess. Go listen to Pablo Torre or go read some of the stories that surrounded all of the NFLPA fallout. It seemed like they were really ripe for a bit of an overhaul, to change leadership and to try to save this players association that really fails to function as a union in many of the most important ways. They're finally going to have a chance to do some upheaval here and fix it. Well, what they did instead was elect the guy that like 8 months ago said he had no interest in being in this position of power and that he was going to step away, and now he's back. So the NFLPA at this point, I just don't think has any teeth. Hard to imagine that it does. Meanwhile, the NFL referees are consistently pretty bad, at least when we have the ability to watch things in slow-mo from our couch. You watch 60-year-old dudes out there running around on the field trying to eyeball it, and you go, man, we are really out of sorts here. Well, if you thought the refs were bad, wait until replacement refs, who are currently waiting in the wings, because the refs are working on a new bargaining agreement. A lot of things there are being threatened. 18th game seems like it's going to happen, because I don't think the players are going to be able to stand up to it. So let's say an 18th game does happen. Here's the first thing that Florio mentioned that, frankly, was not enough for me to lead the show with this part. Because I just think this is, well, I'll tell you what it is first, and I'll tell you what I think. The idea that's been floated out there, according to Florio, is that you have an 18-game schedule, but your players can play a maximum of 17 games. And then Rich Eisen was like, wow, well, that's for quarterbacks. And then Florio was like, well, not them. Not quarterbacks. So quarterbacks and kickers and punters and long snappers can play all 18 if they're available. And, you know, everybody else, if guys get hurt and players miss games. Creed Humphrey didn't, you know, like Florio's thinking about running backs. Most of them will miss a game. So you're probably not going to play 18 in an 18-game season. The idea would be that you must miss one regular season game. And that somehow that would help, by the way. One of the reasons that's stupid is because we're not counting postseason games in any of this. Some teams play an extra game because they didn't end up with the first round bye. We've already removed the first round byes for the second seed in the AFC and NFC. But there's an extra game there. There's an extra week off. No one talks about the competitive advantage as something to be fixed in that regard. Guys do get hurt and miss time. I don't think that's an argument in your favor when you're talking about player safety. And the silliest part of all of this is that if you turn on First Take during what is essentially only NBA season, most of those conversations are going to be about LeBron and Jordan's legacies or load management. The NFL is a league that doesn't have a load management problem right now, and this rule would essentially force a mandatory load management system onto all of your players except for your quarterback and your specialists. I fail to see how that's an improvement on the current situation. Does not make sense to me. Mandatory load management just to try to make you feel better. We're adding an 18th game for the owners, but we're not adding an 18th game for the players, except the quarterbacks, the kickers, the punters, and the long snappers. Are you just going to punt a week? Are you going to plan on resting everybody in week 16? Everybody who hasn't already missed a game? Are you going to cobble this together? Week 2, we're going to pull our left tackle. Week 3, we're going to pull our left guard. Week 4, we're not going to have our center. It's foolish. It also is a ridiculous idea for a league that does such a good job right now of inviting and welcoming casual fans. If you are watching or listening to this show today, you are not a casual fan. You probably already know that. But if you are listening or watching this Chiefs NFL-oriented talk show, essentially, during the second day of March Madness, you are not a casual NFL fan. You are not a casual Chiefs fan. You are in it, and I love you for it. I really do. That's where I'm at. I want to be here talking about this. I have more to say about the NFL today than I do about the March Madness games yesterday, as much as I enjoyed them. Imagine being a casual NFL fan that has 3 fantasy football teams, and then you find out Sunday morning that Saquon Barkley is having his mandatory rest day in week 15. He could have played, he would have played, but they really want to have him for the divisional games in weeks 16, 17, and 18. So Saquon's sitting today, and you didn't see it because you were living your life on Sunday morning. You were out running errands, you were working in the yard, and you come back in, and you sit down at your couch at 12:05, and you realize Saquon Barkley out, coach's decision, in your fantasy starting lineup. I'm out, man. Like, I don't need more homework in my life. The league is so accessible to that tier of fan right now. And another reason it's so accessible is because you have something that used to be called NFL Sundays. Remember those? We're talking now about doing a Thanksgiving Eve game. You would have games on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday of Thanksgiving week. And presumably you'd have to do something to line up your Wednesday game the week prior. Maybe you've got people playing on Thursday Night Football, and then still on a slightly short week, they're playing again on Wednesday. Are they going 4-day gap, 6-day gap? The Chiefs had that sequence of playing whatever it was, 7 games in 9 days or whatever it felt like. And I think my entire family, and probably I assume if you come from a football-loving family, I assume your family has some love for going, oh, you know what? The Lions and the Cowboys are going to be on TV during Thanksgiving, and we'll put it on in the basement, and we'll get around there and fall asleep watching Jared Goff or Matthew Stafford or John Kitna or whoever it is in your Lions quarterbacking uniform in your mind. We'll have Thanksgiving, we'll fall asleep, we'll wake up, the Lions will have lost, and we'll all have a nice time. Do you want it on Wednesday night? I don't really, from the conversations I've had and the comments I have seen, I don't think you do. My favorite thing, look, I work game days, and so in this part, my schedule doesn't match with the average fan in any way, because I'm at a radio station for the 3.5 hours before a Chiefs game and the hours after, and so I have fewer of these red zone Sundays, but there's nothing in my entertainment life that I love more than a red zone Sunday when the games are good, the games matter, and stuff's happening. The more you thin that out, 18 games, 3 nights a week, 4 nights a week, the more you dilute what I think is the NFL's best product. Now look, the primetime games are still going to be the primetime games. That's still a huge place to bring people together. But I think it is really short-sighted to just say, well, no, the way we make the NFL bigger and bigger and keep it growing and growing and growing is to just add more and more and more. I think that's annoying. None of that is what really set me off today. I know we're 15 minutes in. None of that is what really set me off. Here's what really set me off. We talked about this a little bit on Only Weird Games yesterday, myself and Nate Taylor, and I haven't listened yet. I assume that Tucker D. Franklin and Matt Verderam and I are going to share a similar gear because they talked about it on that football show. So if you want to hear some dudes being frustrated about these ideas, you've come to the right channel this last few days, I suppose. It's because we care. Whatever. Oscar has a comment about Florio that I'm not going to read in its entirety, but man, I think you're going to enjoy where I land here. I really think he misses the point on this one. So the Cleveland Browns have submitted a rule change where you'd be allowed to trade draft picks 5 years into the future. Right now it's 3 years into the future, and that's already very rare. To trade 3 first-round picks is a really big deal. Maybe that also would get you any player who would reasonably be moved in the modern NFL, right? Sauce Gardner got 2 firsts. There's not a defensive player who would demand 4. Quarterbacks is different. If you want to be the team acquiring Joe Burrow from the Bengals or whatever, maybe it takes 4 or 5 first-round picks. The Browns figured out how to acquire Deshaun Watson with the rules previously set, and I think that's a pretty good argument against what Mike Florio says when he is discussing this plan with Rich Eisen. I was shocked. I shouldn't be, I suppose, but when I heard it, I was shocked to hear Florio say, yeah, 5 years, sure, make it 10 years. Why put any restrictions at all on NFL teams in terms of how far in advance they want to do business with each other? You got 2 consenting franchises that want to trade first-round picks 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years into the future. Florio's fine with it. He asks, why shouldn't they be able to do that if you've got a trade partner who wants to do that? And I would ask you, why regulate anything? I think there are good answers to that, for the record. If the Cleveland Browns want to ruin their franchise to trade for Deshaun Watson, you let them. If it blows up in their face, it's the Haslam's family's fault. So they suffer the consequences. That's the idea of self-regulating consequences. You can do this irresponsible thing because somebody wants to allow you to do this irresponsible thing, but you will bear the consequences if it goes poorly, so it's up to you. Free will and all of that. Here's the problem, and here's what I think Mike Florio misses, flatly misses in this conversation. The Haslam family is not the Cleveland Browns. Andrew Berry is not the Cleveland Browns. Deshaun Watson is not the Cleveland Browns. The team is more than the owner, the GM, the head coach, the quarterback. The team is more than that. And I don't mean it's the rest of the players. I mean it's the people who show up at your stadiums. The people who watch you on TV, who buy your merch, who make their personalities in part built around their love for this franchise and this city and this team. If 2 billionaires agree to trade draft picks 5 years into the future, one of those billionaires might end up saying, hey, trading those 5 picks, they got us Joe Burrow. He won us a Super Bowl. I got to hold the Lombardi Trophy, and this was worth it in every sense of the word. Who cares what happens 5 to 10 years in the future? I won a championship and it worked out. And that would, I think, be reasonable. That same billionaire could make that move, have the move blow up in their face, and you know what they do for the next 5 years? While their team just wallows in squalor. You know what the billionaire owner does? They remain a billionaire. Their team is irrelevant, but they're relevant. They have all the money. They'll keep hiring and firing coaches and GMs, and people will keep taking those jobs because even the Browns found a head coach eventually. I think it really... Why, Mike Florio, why have a salary floor? If these are all individual businesses, why have a salary floor? Why limit pick trading at all? Because billionaire owners can take 5, 10, 15-year gambles, and that either makes them a champion or gives them a tax write-off. But if you operate the NFL that way, as 32 independent billionaires making their choice of business decisions, you lose the thing that people root for, the thing that people care about, not just the legacy of your team and the future of what they do. You lose the connective tissue of all of that. You lose the fabric of why people care about your sport. Browns ownership does not deserve better than what they've gotten over the last 20 years and what they'll probably have for the next 20. But Browns fans do. They were born in Cleveland, their parents were Browns fans, and then they look around and they go, holy bleep, this is what you've brought me into? That's not their fault. They don't get to make the draft picks. They don't decide how far in advance their buffoon owner and general manager want to trade away a bucket of draft picks and give an unbelievable amount of guaranteed money to somebody with 24 sexual assault allegations. They didn't get to help make that choice. Allow the Browns to do it. And then watch the fan base wither. Because what is there to be proud of there? I really grow weary of the constant reminders that it's all a business. And it is. On some level, look around. On some level, everything's kind of a business. You got to make money. It's a society we live in. We got our economic systems and whatnot. Fine. The NFL and its 32 teams, those are all businesses. It is. But that's not why it works. It works in spite of being a business, not because it is one. The NFL's largest inherent value, at least from my perspective, is its entertainment value, the passion of its fan base, and in many ways, its scarcity. If you had 80 Chiefs games every year, foregoing like the physical impossibility of that, there are 80 Chiefs games. I don't think you're watching all of them. Heck, I know some Chiefs fans who didn't watch the last few games last year for good reason. I don't begrudge you for it. But if I said, yeah, no, the Chiefs play 4 days this week. They play Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. Did I give you 5 there? Doesn't matter. They're playing all those days. Are you watching all those games? Probably not. It's really hard. Life happens. A lot of games. I think the league would be wise to reconnect to the reasons it succeeds before they ultimately learn that the hard way. More football is not the solution to how do we grow even larger. What the NFL's done really, really well is that even with a short regular season and relatively few games compared to other major sports leagues, other professional sports leagues certainly, they have managed to commodify the rest of the calendar. Draft season is a season. Free agent season is a season. The preseason is a season. Training camp is a season. There's like, I don't know, a month and a half out of the year when there's not NFL stuff to talk about. And they drop the schedule in there. Schedule release season is a season. Just figure out the orders of when they're going to play. That's fine. Own all that if you can. That makes enough sense to me because it's not diluting the actual product. And the casual fans who were talking about earlier, they can just roll up to Price Chopper and get themselves the magnet with the schedule on it whenever that's printed. They don't need to know the order that all the games come out. And frankly, I don't actually, some of you will disagree, I don't actually put the international games in this same category because now when they're played at different times and everything and adding a different days in the calendar, that can be a problem. But if it's on TV, roughly when you'd expect it to be on TV, maybe it's a morning window game, but that can still happen within the rhythm of your sport, the way that you know it. There's just only so far you can stretch a sport as physical and violent as professional football. And I'm afraid the NFL is stretching it not just too much, but in wrong directions, where I think that at least if that perspective from Florio is prevalent enough, let everybody do whatever they want. I think that will end up being a legitimate problem, short-term and long. Get rid of the salary cap, for that matter, and just let these 32 individual businesses decide how much winning is worth. You won't do that, of course, because the owners don't want that much separation. They want some regulation. The league wants some regulation. When it benefits them. Abolish the draft. You gonna do that? No? Okay. Just any sort of bumpers that you can put up around the Haslam family. That's a step too far. Well, it's been a while since I've just been frustrated out loud at Mike Florio for 30 straight minutes. So let's take a break. We'll bring Tucker in here and we'll see if either one of us decide to calm down. Don't bet on it. A while to actually, I was scrolling through the comments to see if there's anything I want to bring in here, and I will in mere moments. But I just saw the comment from earlier. Okay, so Josh, what did set you off? Like, oh yeah. It took me a while to get up to speed, man. It feels good. It feels good to talk about it, even though it feels bad to have it actually happening. Tucker D. Franklin, how are you feeling about the let's say the general state of things?
Well, I feel pretty good. I'm actually kind of confused right now because I was trying to make a tweet about Matt Verderame and I's show, that football show that just went out, and Twitter keeps automatically tagging my thumbnail as made with AI, and I didn't use any AI.
Cool.
And I can't change it. I went to go change it, and it was like blacked out of like, no, we detected this was AI. I made this with my two own hands. And that has me kind of bummed out.
Yeah, it sucks
that I made that and they're saying, no, this is AI. Does that mean it's shitty? Does that mean I did a really bad job on it?
No, it means they want it. It means, now, hey, look, you know what? Maybe next time you'll go, I got tagged as AI last time. Maybe we'll just use the AI tool this time. And then it's one more soldier down.
Yeah.
It's, hey, you know what? This looks like, this is another sidetrack. there have been like teaser trailers for movies and stuff that like seem to intentionally look like AI, even though they're not. But they're shot in the way that's that AI aesthetic.
Right.
When you normalize it all out, it gets harder and harder to tell it apart. And folks, I don't think it's great.
No, it won't. It won't let me change it either. I went to like the actual Twitter website because I was using the TweetDeck version, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, I'll just go to the website and add remove content disclosure. I don't know how well this is going to show up, but here, I'll just...
As long as it doesn't also have my phone number on it.
No, you're good, you're good. I went to go do this, and it's just blacked out. Made with AI.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you just can't click that.
I can't uncheck it. It's telling me that my content is AI, and it's not.
Did you put Allen Iverson in the thumbnail? I haven't seen it yet.
No, Allen Iverson. It is
That would have helped.
Mr. Goodell.
Wow, we doubled up on Roger Goodell thumbnails today?
Yeah, I did 2 double Roger Goodell thumbnails because look, so what had really tipped Verderem and I off? We didn't even anticipate on talking about this on the show, which peek behind the curtain.
3 shows in a row on this network. Thursday Weird Games, you and Verderem, and this show today. We have all accidentally ended up here.
Yeah, a little peek behind the curtain. People probably know this is Verderem and I could probably never do a live show. We could, but I could never properly name it because we don't know what we're talking about until we start recording. And that's part of the reason why our show's like recorded and we don't do live shows like the Lab Only Weird Games like you guys talk about. Okay, this is what we're going to talk about. Verderem and I can't really do that because what makes I think what makes it so good is the rabbit holes. The diatribe is that something that I'm looking for? Mm-hmm. That will go down. The different paths that we take, the winding courses through our narrative of what we want to actually talk about in the bigger picture, how we get to the end result. Like I know that we wanted to talk about like the Chiefs drafting a tackle, right?
Yeah.
We got there eventually. Did we talk about how the Miami Dolphins were like tanking and then we're like, wait, let's sign Malik Willis, and then we're like, no, never mind, let's tank again.
So annoyed by them.
And then we talked about, the Dolphins are on the Chiefs' schedule this year, right? And yeah, the Dolphins are on the Chiefs' schedule. Is it a home game or away game? And I was like, I think it's a home game. I looked it up. It's an away game. Then we started talking about the Chiefs' schedule of like, okay, like these are what they have. And all right, they should probably go like 6-2 on the road games. They should probably do that. And then we started breaking down the schedule. And then Matt's like, hang on, it's March 19th. Why are we doing this? And I was like, that's a great point. We don't need to break down the Chiefs' schedule right now. They haven't even had a draft class. And then it was like, oh, well, what about tackle? And then it was pretty much like, hey, they want to keep playing games on Wednesdays. Yeah. And it was like that, where we just talked about the Wednesday game for a little bit. I didn't see the Florio clip until after the show had started. I listened to it while you were chatting. That is I don't want to pile on Florio too much because I don't think this is his idea.
Correct. Absolutely.
And I think that this is a part of like the whole sports media industry as a whole. I think Florio is relaying information that he's been told. Mm-hmm. Now, should he have relayed that information that he's been told is another conversation to have. In short, probably not.
That 17-game max thing is not happening.
No,
somebody with a brain's going to step in before that gets any further.
I'd be shocked if that was a real thing. Now, I think an 18-game season does make sense because teams can go 500 again. You have an even number of games, right? Yep. You will add the extra bye week. You'll eliminate another preseason game. So it's 2 preseason games. It'll be 18 games, 3 bye weeks, and then the Super Bowl goes on President's Day weekend, essentially. The Sunday before President's Day, which is the way that you get the next day as like a holiday.
Yep.
That's probably best case scenario, and I don't think they should tinker with it anymore after that because the league is going to get there. The league's going to get their 18th game. Like that was always kind of a given, especially the whole JC Treader thing.
17th game. I mean, all. They just couldn't get it to 18. They couldn't go 16 to 18. So we'll have a few years in here of 17.
The J.C. Treader thing is so interesting because
Fascinating, isn't it?
he was just like, I don't want to do this. I really don't want this. Please don't let me do, please don't make me do this. I don't want to do this. And then it's like, I want to do this now.
It's like, oh, well, I'm in charge again. I guess I'll just take it.
Yeah. And it almost feels, look, there hasn't ever really been a very strong defense for the NFLPA. I don't think. It's a union is a very kind word to call it.
Yes. It's a club.
Yeah. It's not real. They don't really do a whole lot in terms of like labor negotiations. Yes, they technically have labor negotiations. Yes, but what they haven't had a major win in a while in terms of the players union. They keep like changing out, okay, let's add an extra game week, but no more padded practices. Can we have any less padded practices? Like that's their swaps that they keep doing. And if that's important to them, sure, I guess go for it. But it doesn't really seem like that should be the priority in this whole thing. But who knows? I'm not a player. I'm not a part of the union. I probably won't be after this. And I do think that, as you mentioned, the NFL does have a really good thing going for it where they've done a really good job about making people care about their league for 365 days.
Yep.
There might be 2 months maybe, like June and July, where you don't necessarily have to care about the NFL. If you're not a casual, if you are even if you're a diehard, you don't really have to care about the NFL in June or July, right?
Yep.
They don't want that. Like, they want all of the months. And the extra game, like, the playing on Wednesdays is so maddening to me because it does more than just playing on a Wednesday, right?
Yes.
Then those teams either have to play on Thursday the week before or a Saturday. Like, they can't go Sunday into Monday. That is impossible. You cannot do that, especially when it comes to traveling, everything like that. Cannot do that. Then you have it impacts more than just like one team too, right? So like those two teams that play on Wednesday, they're gonna have to play two other teams.
Right,
so
exactly. You can't just go Thursday to. You could do Thursday to Wednesday and presumably be on back-to-back short weeks.
Yeah,
but you need two other teams to also do that.
Correct, and that's the problem I think with all this is the scheduling becomes even more of a nightmare. And what makes Verder and I talked about this a little bit. What makes the NFL so good is that every week is essentially like a season, right? Every game means so much. And if you are diluting the product by adding more games, right? If you are adding more games to the equation, if you are spreading it all out across the whole entire week, it doesn't have the same bite. It's not the same bite of, okay, NFL Sunday is here, boom, the majority of these games are going to get played. One will be on Monday. They keep doing these Monday doubleheaders, which like, fine, whatever. I don't, it is what it is. Like once I go to Thursday doubleheaders, that's when I'm like, okay, guys, like, however, Jeff Bezos is going to pay for that, I'm sure, to do an Amazon Prime doubleheader.
Probably.
But the scheduling is annoying. Annoying is, I think, is the best way to put it. And I responded to Adam Schefter, as I sometimes do when he says stuff, and I just respond like, okay, when he like tweets stuff out. I responded to him when he had tweeted out the original story about the NFL exploring the Wednesday game. And I said, nobody wants this. Nobody asked for this. Right. And then I had a bunch of people like it did fairly well, and people were like, "Yeah, this guy's true. This guy's right." But then I had like some people being like, "I want this. I want. There's nothing going on the Wednesday of Thanksgiving. I want to watch it. I want to watch football on Thanksgiving." Just like you guys are so simple-minded and stupid that you'll just say, "Oh, this big business, this big corporation, they want to put a game on my TV this time." Yeah, you don't think about any of the context or the circumstance or ramifications or any of it from what this action does.
They also assume that it will be in any way, shape, or form good and entertaining football.
Thursday football sucks already.
Exactly.
Yes. Thursday football already sucks, so it makes you think Wednesday football is going to be even better. Those teams coming off a short week are not going to be, it's not going to be Chiefs, Rams on Monday Night Football that one year, right? Correct. Like, it's not going to be that every time it goes out there. Like, that's also a great point to bring up, is like, it's not going to be good. If they play it, it won't be a good game. I can promise that right now. March 20th, 2026. Write it down. if they play a Wednesday football game before Thanksgiving, it will be ass.
I think that's a great take. I think that's a great prediction. Mark it down. I'm going to rip through some comments here because I started a handful there during the break, and I just think it does my heart good to see that, again, our main sample size here is with us in terms of, we're reading this all right. VFS Epic asks if we've seen the movie Goat yet. It's basically about that in part. I haven't. It got good reviews, though. Have you seen it yet?
It's a Steph Curry movie, right? Like,
yeah,
I haven't seen that, no.
It sounds like it's been good, though, so that's okay. I was going to go to the next one here. I appreciate these from Oscar. The Industrial Revolution and Its Consequences, Monday and Friday with Joshua Brisco. And also from Oscar, this point is applicable to much larger issues, and Josh is spot on. Chambers says, God, I love this show. Wasn't expecting Josh to cook hard on this one. I appreciate you saying that. But also just, I do think, it seems like you guys picked up on it. But I think this is a good time while Tucker's tabs are all being tagged as AI, all of the thumbnails are being tagged as AI, and we're all looking around going like, man, does anybody actually want this? Deregulation for the very top of the pyramid typically means bad things for the rest of the pyramid. Yeah. And I just feel like it wasn't that long ago that we all kind of agreed on that. And I'll say that's interesting. Because that's the only word I feel like using right now.
I'll call it a bummer. I'll go as far as to say it's a bummer.
Yeah. That's good. That's better. It's a bummer for sure. It's a bummer for sure. VF's Epic said in that conversation about how many games you have, that turning it from a gather with the family to watch the game sport into a check the score on my phone while running errands sport. I think that is the death of so many sports properties right now, and so many things in general. Just, again, I'm going to sound like 100 years old, but in the streaming age, and when everything is accessible on your phone, and there is just always stuff going on that you want to be loosely aware of, but that isn't, here's the key word, appointment viewing. Yeah. The appointment viewing is why the NFL is a monster. The NFL and Game of Thrones are the only thing in the last 5 years that were appointment viewing. Like, you could have just skipped Severance and you'd be fine. You could skip all of the Game of Thrones spinoffs. You'd be fine. All of the, I feel like I was in the target audience. I never watched Succession, and I know some people tweeted about it and had a good time with it, but it wasn't that total monolith that the NFL is, and I think threatening that is really foolish. Night Hunter said, it's like I love off-season stuff with the NFL, but it gives you time to look at upcoming draftees, see who you lost, see who you sign in free agency, then a break till training camp is a good lead into the season. There's a rhythm to that. It's not just pure exhaustion 365 days out of the year. Absence makes the heart grow fonder, they say.
Absolutely.
Let it go away for a little bit and we will fill it. Again, we are having, here on KC Sports Network, here on this YouTube channel, we will talk about the Chiefs genuinely probably 300 some days out of the year if you think about when we are doing a live stream, right? There's usually something to talk about, but it's different than having 80 post-game shows.
Correct.
Because again, man, I'm happy when I get the notification on my phone and go, oh, the Suns won. Nice. Not, holy smokes, how did I miss that? I couldn't tell you. I mean, obviously, again, I'm a weird sample size on this. I couldn't tell you the last Chiefs game I didn't watch.
Right.
I can't even imagine when that would have been. And I imagine that most of you either can't remember that or it was last year when the season was over and the backups were out.
Do you want to hear mine?
Yes.
Mine that I didn't watch is because I was listening to it on the radio. And it was when I was in college because I was driving home from, I can't remember what I was doing. I was driving home from back home, right? Back home from college and back to campus. And it was Chiefs Seahawks when they played the last time. So that would have been what? I mean, a while ago. That was Mahomes' first year starting. Yeah. So that was the last game that I did not watch, but I listened to it on the radio. I listened to Mitch Holtz's call of it. So it's like, I still was aware of it.
Yep.
I mean, it's not like I just completely
plugged
spaced
into
it out.
in a very real way.
Yeah.
Not like waiting for the text of the final score. It befuddles me that the NFL might forget that.
I have a point to bring up too, because we talk about how all of these other leagues, like you talked about the NBA. They keep talking about like tanking and everything like that. Their biggest fix is to make less games. Like all of these are like the MLB,
Yes.
less games. Let's go less games. Looking at the NBA right now, the leading scorers in points per game: Luka, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Anthony Edwards, Tyrese Maxey. We've gone what? I think we're 70 games, 71,
Yeah,
some
right
70,
around
71 games into the season. You're looking at games played for Luka, 58. Shai, 58. Anthony Edwards, 58. Tyrese Maxey, 61. Jaylen Brown, 62. That's the top 5 scorers have played. What, they've missed at least 15 games at this point. Like, it's what it's looking like, and
and that's like normal and fine. We've all kind of agreed like that. Those are good numbers.
Sure, exactly. But here's the point: that, like for the NBA point, like it makes sense if they go to like a 65 game schedule because that's what those guys are playing anyway, and like. It would make sense if the NFL looked actually at how many games their players are actually playing to see, what would make sense. I know there's a lot of guys that play 17 full. There's plenty of offensive linemen that play 17 full. You look at the running backs. Oh, running backs are making like 12. Like the running backs making 12 games. Wide receivers, I don't know. But like it's a lot more physical of a sport, so you have to have smaller amount of games. So I don't think adding the 18 games is like the absolute most max that they should ever go to. They cannot go to 20. They cannot hit 20.
That's I believe that today, and if in 5 years you told me they're looking at 19 with the odds of going to 20 in 5 more years, I would believe you. They obviously shouldn't. David here mentions 23B revenue is the only metric that matters. A trash NFL game with bum teams beats viewership of other sports playoff games. Not disagreeing, just show how they justify decisions. And David, you're absolutely right. If I'm the NFL, I read that, and instead of going, aha, yes, spread us thin and put us everywhere, I would say, how long is that still true?
Very true.
That's the question. And they got good Thursday night games last year on Prime. And also, announcing wasn't always the best, but Prime Vision was a legit an additive measure to the Thursday night football experience. That was worth it. I just think you should be wary of how long is that true, rather than going, ha 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 ha, let's fly even closer to the sun. The view from up here is amazing.
Right.
VF says we got to get more clips on this show on socials, get the conversation going with more people. I don't know how to do this, Tucker. Tell Claude.
Yeah.
I just wanted to click it. It felt nice. Oscar said the good NFL games will trickle down to the viewers, and that is very funny. Also, I meant to mention this earlier, but I do feel like we could just take all the Chuck Norris jokes in the comments today. I feel like dropping your favorite. David said Chuck Norris and Superman got into a fight. Loser had to wear their underwear on the outside. Chuck Norris died today, so we're bringing out the really early internet, very early, like one of the quintessential original memes. I think just like Chuck Norris jokes.
OG meme, was Chuck Norris.
Chuck Norris died. He's better now. I mean, that's funny. It was probably, is it funnier or less funny today? I don't know. I feel like he probably enjoyed a long life of being Chuck Norris, so I'm going to say these are all fine.
I saw one tweet that was out there today. It said for 86 years, the Grim Reaper looked under his bed for Chuck Norris, and then finally he found him.
Hey, Claude's here.
Claude, what's up?
Perfect. Claude, the people are asking.
People are asking for clips.
Let's do something with some deregulatory economics. That's what we need to get that on Instagram, please. Seth said, just the ADHD taking over, but Josh looks like, I'm guessing that was the OG Randy Johnson, and I love it. Dude, that's an incredible, I can see, I can see Randy Johnson's face from right here. Maybe twice. I think I have two, well, I'm going to say the sentence that I was going to say anyway. I think I have two Randy Johnsons in my office right now.
It's pretty sick.
I got a lot of original Diamondback stuff. Again, being a Suns fan, my grandparents moved out. So I can see. You know what? All right, hold on. Tucker, I'm going to let you address another comment while I count the Randy Johnsons in my office. Not counting like baseball cards or anything. I mean, there's a pennant. But VF asked earlier, so we haven't gotten an update on how Chungus is doing in weeks. Why don't you give us a little Chungus update while I go off screen and count Randy Johnsons?
Yeah, Chungus is good. Chungus is fine. I haven't had the opportunity to do a lot with Chungus. With free agency happening, I haven't baked a loaf in a minute just because of the potential of me having to hop on and do a live stream because it is kind of, it needs your attention. The dough needs your attention when you do some sourdough. So I haven't had the opportunity to do a loaf in a minute. I've just been feeding Chungus. I've just been trying to strengthen him up, making him nice and getting him growing nice and big and strong. He's obviously good enough to make a loaf with, but I want him real popping off. I want him to be real hungry, real strong, real tangy for the loaves. And I'm still trying to hone in that recipe as well to make sure that my recipe is nice and prime. Got to shout out my guy at Pittsburgh Bread Co. that's been helping me out with all this. Roger at Pittsburgh.
Shout out Roger. Roger's a long-time listener, first-time bread advice giver, I think.
Yeah, no, Roger's been great trying to help me through this.
I didn't know he was a literal bread guy. That was exciting. I follow their bread account now.
Yeah, I think he said he gave you a Patrick Mahomes impression on early days of almost entirely sports. He called in with a Patrick Mahomes impression. He told me.
That sounds like load-bearing lore for sure. Yeah, I was in a fugue state for most of those shows, but I believe him. From the shelf, I will say I'm a little bit surprised. I only have 2 big units over here, it looks like. I've got them on a pennant that's hanging here, a 2001 World Series Champions Diamondbacks pennant, and then one, pitching action figure. I thought for sure I'd have a bobblehead, but my Diamondbacks bobbleheads over here are Mark Grace, Luis Gonzalez, and Tony Womack.
Ooh, long gone.
Dude, I loved Long Gone. I'll tell you what, here's the thing. This is where I was conflicted, and I think I admit this every once in a while, and people freak out, understandably so. Mm-hmm. I grew up a Yankees fan. It's not my fault, it's my dad's fault. You can send it, you tweet him at Bradley Brisco.
Good.
And tell him that he was wrong for doing that for me. But I think they were in Wichita, and his brother, my uncle, was I think a Reds fan at the time. And I don't know, it was 400 years ago. He's very old. So you couldn't check the scores on your phone. You had to run uphill and get to a town crier who would tell you the score of the Royals game or whatever. So I grew up a Yankees fan, but then my grandparents on my mom's side moved to Arizona, and so I got the Arizona teams kind of adopted that way a little bit. Thankfully, the Cardinals didn't really stick. That was fun for the Super Bowl run and the Kurt Warner era, and then never again. And so I've got a weird combination of Diamondbacks, Yankees, and Royals stuff from my childhood of loving and collecting baseball things that I have to imagine is pretty rare. I mean, I was a huge baseball kid, though. I've got so much baseball stuff.
Baseball was better when we were kids. I don't know what happens when you get older, but baseball was awesome when I don't know if that's a commentary.
Era had to be part of it, but media is very different. Sports are very different. Something changed. No way, it's us.
No, we didn't change. We didn't change at all. I was just looking at Randy Johnson's Wikipedia page, as I do anytime we bring up a person. I just immediately pull up the Wikipedia page. He played from 1988 to 2009.
God, I love Randy Johnson, man.
That's a long-ass time.
Megan says Craig Counsell for the win. Oh, Craig Counsell. Hold on, I have a bat. Hold on.
Brewers manager Craig Counsell?
You can't really see it because it's a very high. This is his batting stance.
Oh, yeah.
Real vertical. Looked like a big unit in the box.
Well, you talked about how many big units you had over there. How many Randy Johnsons did you have over there?
2.
Oh, okay.
Who thought we were going to talk about Mike Florio and Tony Womack today, huh?
Tony Womack.
Loved that.
Yeah, I've got the Diamondbacks pennant over there, right? Because I do all of my pennants that are up here are World Series pennants. People can't really see them, but World Series champions. I got 01 is the one that I started, but I actually just got 2 more.
Is 2 big units not enough?
It's 2 more than I have. I did just get 1998 Yankees World Series pennant, and then 2005 White Sox, I think that was when the White Sox won it. Yeah, 2005 White Sox, 98 Yankees are the 2 that I've just added to the collection.
forgot I had these back here. This is my like OG childhood Yankees pennant. This one's I'm gonna have to put this one back up. I love this one so much.
A good design, yeah. Unfortunately,
got a Royal. I'll tell you what. I don't still follow and root for the Yankees. I do still bleep and hate the Red Sox, man. To this day, probably my least favorite sports team and organization and everything. Just freaking. Oh God, I hate the Red Sox. Oh no, I thought I had a Randy Johnson one in here. I do have this kind of eerie Derek Jeter caricature from the 2000 World Series.
2000
I know
MVP, yeah.
Yeah, I also know that's a very controversial thing. And these aren't on my wall right now. I just dug these out of my little storage section. Again, I got a Royals one I didn't show off. I got Chiefs ones I didn't show off. The Chiefs ones are like up in here now. Got a Casey Wolf on the wall and a vintage Chiefs one that I love. I'm glad that we're keeping pennants happening.
I'm a big pennant guy. I've always been a big pennant guy, and that was one of the things that I started after the Royals won the World Series in 2015. That one back there. I decided when the Cubs won the World Series in 2016, I was like, I should probably buy that pennant too because that one could be pretty valuable. You know, they broke the curse. Yeah. Need to have that pennant. So I bought that pennant, and then the Astros won it the next year. This was pre I knew that they were cheating at winning baseball games, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So I was like, I don't hate the Astros. I'll go ahead and buy an Astros pennant too. I've got those two. Might as well get another one. And then it just kind of all kept going. So I've got Red Sox, Nationals, Dodgers, Braves, Astros, Rangers, and then double Dodgers. The one I actually just bought for the Dodgers for their back-to-back one it's unfortunately pretty sick. Like it is a really cool pennant.
At some point, once you've decided to do the like every year thing, you hunt for a good design, you put it up, and you don't, no one's gonna think you're a Dodgers fan. I really don't know if I could have a Boston Red Sox World Series championship pennant in my office. I really don't.
Wow, I actually have all of the Red Sox pennants now because looking at it now. About took you on the road here. Looking at it now, I got 04, I've got 07, and I've got 18. Yeah, that's all their championships they've won, right? Since I've been born, at least. The goal is to get them all since I've been born. So 98 was the year I was born. Okay. So I was trying to get them all in the years since I was born. What sucks about that is much like you, how you despise the Red Sox, I learned to despise the Yankees. Because my dad...
Extremely fair for the record.
Yeah, my dad was a tried and true Royals fan in the 80s, right? So they always clashed with the Red Sox or the Yankees in the ALCS or ALDS, whatever it was, those George Brett years. He hated the Yankees. So he's like, you can like whatever baseball team you want except the Yankees. That was always my dad's rule. Like my dad was like, I'm never going to tell you what team to cheer for. I like this team. You can cheer whatever team you would like. And so, like, yeah, maybe when I was a kid, I dabbled in the Cardinals a little bit, and I was like, no, I'm going to stick with the Royals.
It's worth trying sometimes. When you're young, you have a little bit of wiggle room. You have a moment.
You do. I think by, like, middle school you choose. I think if you dabble around, like, there's a couple times where, I watch the Vikings sometimes. I'm like, I kind of like their uniforms.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, the Vikings, that could be interesting. I never really wavered that much from the Chiefs, but it was just like, Vikings are kind of interesting. Never really thought about the Rams. Like that was never a thought process for me. Yeah. But like you got to dabble a little bit when you're a kid, right? But when you hit middle school, I think when you get to like junior high, it's like, all right, you got to have that locked in.
I think once you start having the possibility of having friends who have different favorite teams, or you may be getting razzed a little bit for your favorite team losing or whatever, right around then it's got to get codified because you got to decide you're either taking this personally or you're disavowing them. But you can't disavow them when you're 13 and then come back when you're 26 and they're good. It builds character. I'll say I remember this at the time. When the Royals won the first World Series, I was obviously extremely happy. I was rooting for them in a major way, but I had been a little bit divorced from baseball. I was not I was rooting for the Royals through that process, and I was watching the Royals more than anything else. But I was like very busy, and I wasn't that locked into like those couple of seasons as much.
Sure.
I remember thinking like, oh man, like there are, comparing that eventually to just the just the Chiefs winning the AFC Championship game over the Titans, the feeling I had when that was happening was like, oh, I've been rooting for this and waiting for this my entire life.
Yeah.
And with the Royals, it was like, wow, this is extremely cool and awesome for all involved, and I'm happy, but I wasn't like weepy.
Mm-hmm.
Just the Chiefs punching the ticket to the Super Bowl. I was like,
yeah.
I remember being 13 and talking about if I was ever gonna see this happen in my life. And little did we know what was just around the corner.
It is crazy. And I'm still on the hunt for, okay, let me see. It is unfortunate that I hated the Yankees. I hate the Yankees as much as I do. And when I was born, 1998, that's when they started their three-peat. So they started, so 98, 99, and 2000, they won those three pennants right in a row. And I've got 2001, 2003, 2004, I've got 2005. 2006, I believe, is the Cardinals. And I've got a lot of work to do. So it's basically 2007 to 2015 is what the work I need to do. And oddly enough, on eBay, you know what the most expensive pennants are?
What are the most expensive in terms of like championship year or?
Yeah, in terms of like who won it in the championship.
The Cubs one? First Cubs? I don't know.
The San Francisco Giants pennants I found are the hardest ones to find. And when you do find them, it's like, we want $45 for this. And I'm like, I don't want to pay $45 for this.
Weird. Extremely strange.
Especially the 2014 San Francisco Giants one. I know that like that one's going to kind of like suck to buy because the Royals lost them in the World Series, right? I'm not too sour about that anymore because like Madison Bumgarner had an incredible performance. No wonder Joe Buck was glazing him.
Yes. And
they won the next year, right?
Exactly.
So it's like
that's the biggest thing. If that was the closest they had ever gotten in our lifetimes, I think that would be very hard to look at.
Sure, and I have a San Francisco Giants hat. Like I enjoyed my time when I went to San Francisco for the Super Bowl. So like I have no ill will. Like the Giants might be like my favorite National League team, truthfully, just because of like Barry Bonds, and I was a big Barry Bonds fan when I was a kid. Huge Barry Bonds fan.
Were you paying attention old enough for the incredible like 2 years of Tim Lincecum's life?
Oh yeah. Oh dude,
I freaking loved Tim Lincecum, dude.
Do you remember Brian Wilson, the closer they had with like the jet back beard?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And he got in trouble because his shoes were orange.
Awesome.
And he like took a Sharpie and just like colored him in.
That's what. And he took the Sharpie out of his beard.
Right.
It had a little bit of ink left.
His run of like ESPN commercials that him and Tim Lincecum had. If you remember when ESPN and SportsCenter were doing the really cool commercials, and when like ESPN and SportsCenter were like fun to watch, they were doing all those like cool commercials.
These are the commercials that would play during the breaks of Get Up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or was there ESPN before Get Up?
Oddly enough, yes.
What?
They used to do some really good commercials with both Brian Wilson, and Tim Lincecum, and those Giants teams were actually really good. Buster Posey also is one of the like. When I played baseball, I played baseball, I was a catcher, so I caught all the way through high school, and even played a little bit of like baseball when I was in college, right? Like not at college level, but just like for fun. Right. And I was a catcher. And the panda, remember the big panda? Oh gosh. Like those teams were fun. Right. And Buster Posey was like catcher teach tape. Like he was like, this is how you are supposed to catch. And then he had that really devastating injury when he had the collision at home plate that basically ended collisions at home plate. They had a rule, and he's like in the front office, I think, for the Giants now. Like
that's right.
Yeah, like he's like a higher up for him. Crazy. Who would have thought we were talking about the Giants and Mike Florio on the same podcast?
I was prepared to talk about trickle-down economics. I was not prepared to talk about early 2000s Major League Baseball. I had no idea. I really didn't think we were going to talk about my big unit or Randy Johnson today. But that's what great shows do on occasion. In fact, we'll go ahead and cross promo Tucker. I don't know when it's going to come out, but there's going to be, if you're thinking, man, I love hearing Josh and Tucker talk, and I know they're going to do it again in just a couple days on Monday, well, you're going to be able to hear even more over on the KCSN Chiefs podcast feed, because Tucker and I are on the docket for 21 questions this week. Does that come out? When does that come out?
I believe Saturday. Let me double check my sources.
That's close enough.
I think
your
it's
sources.
I think it's
are you
Saturday.
Not in charge of that?
Yeah, my sources is just the calendar I've created. Is
All right,
is the source. When was March 13th? Was that a Saturday?
That was a Friday, I think, because today's the 20th. But I don't know. I'm
Interesting. Why did I do it that way? The last 21 questions I posted was Friday. So maybe it'll be later today when I post it. And I posted the draft show. Yeah, I did post the draft show on Saturday. Yeah, you'll hear it on Friday.
Look at that. That's today. So if you want more from me and Tucker, we got 21 questions just around the corner. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us here today. And really enjoyed the comment section as well. I tried to star and respond to a whole bunch of those. Night Hunter says, Chuck Norris never did push-ups. He pushed the earth down. That, for me, weirdly, that's the one that I remembered first today. Was like, that felt iconic. But also that the boogeyman looks under his bed for Chuck Norris, as you mentioned. Death itself, perhaps. Truly wild. We've even got Olathe Theater Department connections happening between Alec and VF in the chat right now. I mean, that's what brings people together. So appreciate everybody hanging out with us here and yelling at Mike Florio in the NFL with us. We'll be back on Monday. Maybe we'll talk a little March Madness on Monday. Maybe we'll get some more NFL news. Maybe I'll get really mad at 11:15 and we'll just take it from there.
Did you see that before we started? The Chiefs did re-sign Jack Cochran.
Bye, Mom. It's for less than you made last year.
Probably double. When you have the opportunity to sign Jack Cochran, you simply just can't walk away.
Do you think Jeffrey Boss is a real person?
No.
He's AI. He was the first AI draft pick.
He probably is Allen Iverson, yes.
Somebody earlier just said, uh-oh, Tucker's grok. And I really enjoyed the idea of just you, just like absolutely soaked in sweat in a dark windowless room, just trying to respond to all of the
gotta answer all
rock
messages.
You've got Photoshop messily photoshopping people into bikinis against their will and tweeting it out.
It's like, how come people keep asking me for these people's stats? Can't they Google it themselves?
At Tucker D. Franklin, is this real? I don't know! How would I know that? I do appreciate this, Oscar. This would be very helpful if we were saying anything bad, which sometimes you get nervous, but Oscar in the chat said the audio is still on.
Oh, no.
And we can hear you, and that's okay. I don't know when this lots of shows do cold opens. We do a cold close for the video feed, because sometimes we just still have something else to talk about for the last, 60 seconds. So this is still kind of show just for you. But if this ever happens too long after an Only Weird Games, please do leave a comment.
That's actually a great point. Odds that Seth would notice. Who would be the first person? I obviously think you would be the first person to notice, but out of Seth and Nate, who'd be the first person to notice that it wouldn't? That it's still rolling.
Jazz or Holly. I mean, there's no...
Who gets a text first? Who texts? Who is listening? To the show that has one of our numbers and is like, hey, by the way.
Thanks to Seth, everybody listening has my number.